Good afternoon. Taking a break from work, I want to make this video about what's going on with the protests. We're seeing protests taking place all across the country and even in the world, and the protest is about police brutality, and we are seeing that the protest about police brutality is met with a wave of police brutality across the United States. What I mean by that is that when you look at what's going on, the police is using tear gas, batons, pepper spray, fist, feet, and vehicles against peaceful protesters. And the nationwide anti-police brutality protests, which was sparked by the killing of George Floyd in the United States, have been marked by widespread incidents of police violence, including punching, kicking, gassing, pepper spraying, and driving vehicles. You see on the videos that they're driving vehicles at peaceful protesters in states across the country. And the actions have left thousands of protesters, peaceful protesters, in jail and injured many others, leaving some of these people with life-threatening injuries. When you look at from Minnesota, New York, Texas, California, Washington, D.C., and many places beyond, from small towns to big cities, police officers have demonstrated just how problematic law enforcement is in the United States, drawing condemnation from they're drawing condemnation from international groups as well as the domestic civil rights organizations. Now, the International Crisis Group, which monitors unrest around the world, say, and here's what they say: the police have used quote-unquote excessive force. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, she said all police officers who resort to excessive use of force should be charged and convicted for the crimes committed. There's been numerous incidents of police violence that have been exposed in disturbing videos and press accounts recently, with little signs. Family, I want you to get this. Little signs that the police are adjusting their tactics. We are at war. New York City alone have seen numerous incidents. Let me run it down for you. On Saturday, May 30th, officers in a police SUV, they drove at a crowd of protesters in Brooklyn, knocking several people to the ground. A day earlier, a police officer was caught on camera violently shoving a woman to the ground during a demonstration. The woman was taken to the hospital, and here's what she said when she was at the hospital. She said that she suffered a seizure and a concussion. At another New York protest, an officer yanked a face mask from an African-American man who was standing with his hands. He was standing with his hands in the air, then pepper sprayed him in the face. We look at Buffalo and Western New York State. Two officers shoved a 75-year-old man to the ground, and that video has been circulating online. And the video, if you saw the video, it showed that the man, he hit his head on the ground and caused blood to spill on the sidewalk. And now the latest report is that he's gravely ill in the hospital. On Thursday, a video posted on Twitter showed a group of police officers beating police protesters up here in Philadelphia. When you look at the video, one of the officers, he was seen using a baton to hit a man on the head before he and another officer pinned him to the ground. Family, we are at war. Protesters in Minneapolis, where 4 police officers have been charged with murder over the death of George Floyd, have also been subjected to violence. In one incident, police shot paint canisters at a woman who was standing on the porch of her own home. Now, video footage showed a police officer shouting, quote unquote, "light them up," before police opened fire. Minneapolis police have also used tear gas, flashbangs, and rubber bullets on peaceful protests in the city. Now, in the southeast of the United States, a black woman who was kneeling with her hands in the air was shoved to the ground by police in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, on the West Coast, a police car drove into a protester in Los Angeles, briefly, hold on a minute, I just want to get this right, briefly trapping them underneath the engine, and police used tear gas to dispel a demonstration in Santa Monica. We are at war. In Los Angeles, as in other cities in the United States, police have also repeatedly fired rubber bullets at protesters. Among them struck was a military veteran who said that he had his hands up when he was shot in the head, the hip, the leg, stomach, and ribs. Let's go over to Austin, Texas. Let's see what's going on in Austin. Austin, Texas, police were conducting an internal investigation after a pregnant woman was reportedly hit with a roundhouse to her stomach. Now, a group of scientists examined the impact of rubber and plastic bullets in 2017. They found that 15% of those shot with the bullets or with beanbag rounds and other least lethal bullets have suffered permanent injury. Even medical records, I want you to get this, even medical workers have not been immune. According to an article in the Daily Beast, a 32-year-old Rain Valentine, person named Rain Valentine, was wearing his hospital ID when he was beaten. He was wearing his ID and he was beaten by police officers in New York. Valentine, whose wound was closed with staples, he had a wound that was closed with staples, said he had been filming protesters. Elsewhere, a doctor in Miami, Florida. Let's go down to Miami, Florida, see what's going on down there. A doctor said he was tear gassed at a protest. We are at war. Officers reportedly used tear gas in Dallas and San Antonio, both in Texas, in Philadelphia, up here in Philadelphia, and in the most widely shared incident to disperse protesters outside, which was despicable. To disperse protesters outside the White House in Washington, D.C. so that our president, Donald Trump, could have his photo taken with a Bible outside of the church. Among those abused in Washington, D.C. was a pair of Australian journalists who was reporting on a protest. Now, video showed TV cameraman Tim Myers being hit with the riot shield and punched while a correspondent was hit with a battoon. I want you to be careful out here. We are at war. We see this going on all across the country. We are at war. So instead of the police department making changes, as they say, they are intensifying their attacks. So I just want you to be aware that we're at war. We're at war. Not all police are bad. We're not saying all police are bad, but we are saying that there are race soldiers. There are people that is connected with white supremacy groups. They come on to the get hired police department so they can legally terrorize African Americans. So just want to share this with you. Be safe. Make sure your family is safe, and we are at war.